back on the must-have classics, where we restore history one classic at a time. Welcome back to Must Have Classics. I'm Nick, and in today's episode we're starting a whole new project. This series will be going through the complete restoration of the car I'm about to show you. A few different things on this one. One, this one's my own car. It's not a customer car, so I finally have the ability to do whatever I want to do on this one. I've been looking forward to this car for a long time. I'll go ahead and show you what we got here. So, it looks like crap, and to be fair, it is bad. But this here is a 1969 Mercury Cougar. I have been after one of these cars for a long time, and it is hard to find them out in here in West Texas. And I finally found this one in Abilene, about a month ago now, and picked it up, and it's possibly one of the cheapest ones in the country that's at least a mostly complete car. So I do have all the trim pieces. There's the grille, front valence, there's the hood. Hood's beat to crap pretty well, huge dent in the front there. And then of course this car is pretty beat up everywhere. It does have a 351 Windsor and a C6 in it. The problem is I do not believe this is the original 351, because there was an intake for the 90s fuel injection, along with it has this, and I do not like these. I am old school. I prefer coil and distributor back to, you know, points condenser, all that. That's how I prefer these to be built. So I'll get into what I'm going to do on that in just a minute. Go ahead and continue to walk around the car. Fender is not bad. This door is not bad. This whole side itself is not that bad. See rust-free quarter panels, which is pretty hard to find. Roof is pretty beat up. Go around to the back. Rear bumper is pretty bad there. Trunk lid's not bad. I don't have the key to get in, but it doesn't have the fuel tank in it, so I know there's nothing in there. Then we get to this side, and this is where it gets fun. So huge dent here in the quarter panel. That's going to be an absolute pain to fix. And then we've got actually a little bit of rust back here. That's easy enough to patch. The door is beat up. Also, it barely opens and doesn't even want to open because of the fender at the moment. And then this fender is curled in on the bottom, if I remember correctly, and beat up here. But I know I can fix all of it, and that's what I'm going to do. Cowl has damage even as well. But the biggest thing with this car, and if you're from around West Texas or understand West Texas, it's just like finding a car in Arizona. Most of the time they're not rusted, and this is another good example of it. I have a little bit of pitting up here in the front floor, and I'll probably do something with that, but the rest of this is completely solid. Like I said, no fuel tank back there. The rockers are solid, the floors are solid, the quarters are pretty solid, doors are in great shape. Like, overall it's actually pretty decent. I don't expect to find any rust when I pull the windshields or the glass, but you never know. Usually there's going to be rust down here. This is all solid as well. So let's get back up here and discuss what I'm going to do with this. We have in the family, we have a 1970 Mach 1, and that car has another 351 Windsor, cammed, sounds great, fast car. That car I want to be able to match with this one. So because of that, as of right now, I'm going to send off this 351 or get another 351, because I know this one's locked up solid. And I'm going to have it bored, stroked, and have a big cam put in it so that it can make plenty of horsepower to haul this car around. I'm debating changing over the C6 and possibly putting manual in it, because I would prefer to have a 4-speed, but Cougars didn't, so I haven't quite decided what I want to do there. However, it's my own car, it's a blank slate. I have the ability to do whatever I want to with it. Now, cosmetically, I plan to do a lot of this not really stuck. I want to delete the chrome around the windshields. I don't like this. I prefer to have the smooth metal come across. And then I want to do painted mirrors, possibly even change up the door handles. And then bumpers, I'm going to do painted bumpers, but I'm going to squeeze them in tight so it all flows in with the body lines. And then we'll discuss color way down the road. Now, I did say the car was almost complete. Of course, if you look in here, we are missing a big portion of something, and that's because I do need to find an interior, but luckily seats are pretty much Mustang, especially the front seats. The back seats are a little bit different. And then the dash is going to be intriguing to find. I'm sure we'll be able to find it. Of course, we're going to do a full paintless harness in this one and make it very easy to, find any issues or any of that later down the road. So with all that out of the way, there's only one thing left to do, and that's to actually get started on this thing. So this episode, I want to go through and get the car torn apart, at least get the glass out of it. And by glass, I mean the front and back. Don't know if I'll pull the quarter glass yet. I will eventually, because I want this car to be a bare shell sitting here. So I can go through and do everything exactly how I would do it. I want to get the fenders off, doors off, trunk lid off, possibly. Most likely I probably got to crawl through there and get that to break loose and unlatch itself. Then from there, I think, depending on how far we are in this, I want to go through and start getting this thing stripped down to bare metal, which is just taking a buffer with the 80 grit, because I want to make sure what we're dealing with underneath. So this car, I would really like to do like weekly uploads of everything I'm doing on this car. I'm working on it on the weekends and on the nights when I'm not dealing with all the customer cars, because as you can see in the background, I've got a packed full building. So that's all we can do, is just to get started on this thing. So first off, I'm going to get these fenders pulled, which I just have sitting on here. When I got the car, it didn't have any of it. Which, another thing, you also notice front suspension's missing. All this was bent prior. I have the spindle for it. However, I don't have any of the springs or all that. All that was going to get rebuilt. However, I'm really debating doing a Mustang 2 front suspension underneath it, so that way I can kind of have a little bit more options down the road. And also, it's going to handle a lot better than that stock. It's not really something I'm used to doing or normally would do, but I will make an exception for this one. Also, most likely not going to keep the rear end. Probably going to do an Explorer rear end. That way I can have 4-wheel disc brakes affordably. Overall, I would like to stay around $5,000 all in for parts and materials and everything for this car. Of course, my own labor. I don't really care about, it's my car. Right now, cost breakdown, I have $800 into this car. That's how much I paid for it. Probably may have overpaid. However, I couldn't find one. They're extremely hard to find around here. And this one's extremely nice, being, rust free. Of course, it's beat to shit, but we'll fix that later down the road. So besides that, we'll do a full cost breakdown later, but let's start getting this thing torn down. Let's get these fenders off and then see what we're working with after that. Alright, so I got a little bit carried away, but not really. There was no point in just stopping at just the fenders. So I do have the fenders, and now the doors off. With the doors off, you can see what I was talking about with how nice the rockers are and all of that, and you can see the floors a little bit better as well. Like I said, I've got a little bit of hole right there, so I'm going to fix that, but the rest of that's in great shape. And come around here. This side's in pretty good shape as well. Like I said, rockers are in good shape. Got, it's just dirty. Okay. So yeah, it is a decent car. You can see the front suspension here definitely needs to be all gone through. Like I said, I'm thinking about doing a Mustang too, which if I do, I may even tub it at that point, because I had plans to put some 14-inch like the GT Rallies that Ford had, but I don't think I'm gonna end up doing that after all, especially if I do disc brakes. It's gonna be hard to even get 14s to fit on it after that. So with that, I may end up doing like 18s and 17s on it, or then I may even do bigger than that and tub it. So we'll see. That's down the road anyways. So from here, I was thinking about getting the glass out. I don't think that's gonna happen, mostly because I hate dealing with the clips on these, and I don't really feel like messing with them right now. Same with the front. Luckily, the windshield and all the glass is in great shape. If you'll notice earlier, the driver door didn't have the glass in it, but I do have it. It came with the car. So I do have all good glass, and I really don't want to mess it up being too impatient to get that out. All this back here, I'll pull that later. So I think right now, I think I'm gonna pull my buffer out, put some 80 grit on it, and start stripping this thing down to bare metal. I kind of want to know today what I'm going to be dealing with later down the road. I'm not going to have a lot of rust to deal with, a lot of filler, all that. Obviously there's going to be quite a bit of filler on it because the roof and everything is just, it's been hammered with hail, and I know I'll have to fix that, but that's no big deal. I've got all the tools to do that properly, and then I'll do a skim coat on the whole thing anyways, block it all out. Probably do 3 primes. I want this to be an actual show car when it's done. I want to be able to go and take it, win trophies in it, and have some fun with it as well. So with that being said, let me get the buffer out and let me start stripping this thing down to bare metal, and then I think that will be it for the day. I may go ahead and hold these. I'm not going to keep any of this. I want to do a full delete on the side markers and the emblems, just so it looks nice and smooth. But that'll be down the road. So yeah, let me grab a screwdriver, pop those out, and let me grab my buffer, and we'll get this thing stripped down. So I've always been one to say that you will find something you weren't expecting when you get into a project, and that has finally happened to an extent on this one. To be fair, I did kind of expect to find something, stripping it down to bare metal. Now the roof actually does look pretty good bare metal wise. There was no hidden fill or anything. Of course we've got all these dents, but I can luckily get to the majority of them from the bottom. So I'll be able to knock all those out. The only one's going to be a problem are going to be these right here. but I've got my dent puller. I'll pull those out. No big deal there. All the lead work here still looks good. Dent here that should be easy to get out, but the lead work right through here on that seam from the quarter to the roof all looks good. The quarter panel is where we get into the issue. Now, of course, I knew about the giant dent. I knew it was going to be a pain to fix. However, what I was not expecting completely to find was a bad repair here. You can tell this was done sometime probably in the 80s is my guess, based on the history of the car. But as you can see, we've got probably, because I know it comes farther down into here as well, we've probably got 20 to 30 holes drilled into the quarter panel for a damage that was pulled later on. So because of this and this, and we got a little bit of rust in the bottom, I think I'm actually going to replace this quarter panel. And finding one, I know is not the easiest for a 67 or a 68. I have not looked for a 69 and 70, but I know I can find one used at least. So I'll get a quarter panel and just put a brand new quarter on it. It's going to hurt the budget a little bit, but there's just no easy way to fix that at this point, unless I were to cut it, straighten it, re-weld it, and let's just put a quarter panel on it and be done. So with that being said, I think from here I'm gonna go ahead and finish stripping the rest of it. I think I'm gonna do that off camera because I probably have another hour and a half in stripping this down to bare metal. I think when I do that, I'll also do the doors and the hood, at least the bottom of the doors, just so I can make sure there's no rust in that bottom corner. I don't believe there is, but you never know. The problem is going to be is if there was damage here, it's probably going to be damage matching it on the door. So I have to figure out what we've got to do there. Doors for 69 are going to be a lot harder to figure out. I'll probably repair those no matter what the damage is on them. So with that being said, that'll do it for this episode. On the next episode, I want to go ahead and get the engine and transmission out. Also go ahead and drop the rear end and get the other front suspension out, so that way we have a bare shell. Off camera this time around, I'll get it finished getting it stripped down to bare metal and get these glasses out as well. Most likely. Don't know where I'll do on the glass yet. I'll have to get motivated someday to do it. So yeah, with that being said, that'll do it for today. If you haven't already, please like and subscribe. We work on this kind of stuff all the time. I'm trying to get doing more videos again. I took a break for a while for family time, and finally want to get back into doing it. So I've got this car, and then I've got another project out behind the shop that videos will be starting coming out on it probably in the next couple weeks, because I've been working on it, and I've actually already got it running. So we'll get that going. That project will also be a full restoration, similar to this one, also kind of a personal project. It's for family. So that being said, like I said, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Help us out so we can make more of these videos. Like I said, I want to get going back doing this more often. So if you haven't already, please check us out on Instagram and Facebook at Must Have Classics. And we'll see you back in the next video. Remember, get those classics out and enjoy them as much as you can.